Come on in. Pull up a chair. I'd offer you some coffee, but I've kind of finished it off right now. Just enjoying a nice warm fire this morning and contemplating some things about Jehovah's Witnesses, the Watchtower Society, that once again show an utter fail in interpreting the scriptures, understanding the scriptures, thinking about how their theology has collapsed in front of everybody's eyes. And part of that has to do, obviously, with 1914 and that generation that will not pass away until all these things occur. And I don't know if anybody really remembers, some of us old-timers will recall, but it has to do with the length and the age of that generation. And what Jehovah's Witnesses would regularly do in an attempt to keep everybody apprised to the impending Great Tribulation is found at Psalms chapter 90, verse 10. And this is how Watchtower got Jehovah's Witnesses to kind of keep the impending Armageddon in front of their face as it pertained to the generation of 1914. Because remember, this generation will not pass away till all these things occur. So this is a scripture that would be regularly employed. In themselves, the days of our years are 70 years. And if because of special mightiness, they are 80 years. And all of us older Jehovah's Witnesses have even used this scripture. We may have used it in talks. We may have used it in our door-to-door work to help our Bible studies appreciate just how close we were to the end of this system. Because that generation, 1914, will not pass away. And they're looking at 70 or 80 years to the fulfillment of Watchtower's felonious words. And for a lot of people it worked. When 1975 came and went, many Jehovah's Witnesses left. Only the holdouts were remaining. And it's really sad to be able to see how this mechanism was employed and how it affected a lot of us, even from a psychological perspective. Because as that generation got to be around 70 years, our anticipation for Armageddon grew. As that generation grew to be about 75 years, our anticipation was even stronger. And as that generation grew to be, by special mightiness, 80 years, man, Armageddon is just around the corner. This wicked system is going to collapse. Now, as reality began to set in, Watchtower obviously had to come up with another explanation, because that generation was well past 80 years. And that generation was disappearing. And that's when you began to see Watchtower try to survive in panic mode by having David Splain do that dumb little video on JW Broadcast with this stupid little chart of the overlapping generations. And even when David Splain did that, many Jehovah's Witnesses began to leave the organization once again, because they absolutely saw the felonious words in that. And what's even more worth your time pondering is the generation of World War II, because that generation is getting up there in years also. What's Watchtower going to do when the generation that fought World War II is dead and gone, and their felonious words have not come to be fulfilled? It's really a shame when I sit and think about how my mother's mind no longer works logically. My in-laws' minds no longer work logically. But, you know, for those of us that have been out for a while, those of us on YouTube, you will find encouragement in a Christmas card that Kim and I just received I'm not going to mention any names, but I'm not going to read it, obviously. But I'm going to just relate one sentence in this Christmas card. And that sentence basically said this: the Pimo community is massive. There's a massive amount of Pimos. And those of us on this side of the camera understand. Physically in, but mentally out. So it really doesn't matter, Watchtower, what kind of attempt you make in it further, putting the shit back in the horse. It's not going to work because the damage is done. The only reason why there's a Pimo community existing in your organization is because they're trying to help wake up their friends and, more importantly, their family members. So anyhow, guys, I was giving that some thought, and I thought I'd discuss it just a little bit while I enjoy the fire. That's a scripture that the Jehovah's Witnesses can no longer use in conjunction with the generation of 1914 because it's run its course. They're felonious words. They're not real. They never were. Otherwise, this generation, this time period would have passed away. And we'd already be in the new system right now. So as long as those that are asleep continue to give their money to Watchtower feloniously, you're never going to see the realization of what you hope for, what you've anticipated, what you've prayed for. Guys, thanks for watching, and have a blessed day. Bye.